Hi everyone, as you can see, I've got some antennas out on the table tonight. These are 915 megahertz antennas, or at least what I believe to be 915 megahertz antennas. A lot of these are ones that I either currently use or have used in the past for my Meshtastic nodes. So this video today is going to be for the folks with Meshtastic. I also have my VNA here. This is a SAA2N model. Not an endorsement, but I thought someone might ask. So this is the model of VNA I'm using. And we're going to use it tonight to take a look at these antennas and see what their SWR or standing wave ratio looks like. So real quickly, SWR is one of a few different types of measurements of an antenna's quality, or at least its efficiency on the frequency that you want to use it. All right, so I've made some adjustments here so you can see the VNA. What we're going to do first is set our frequency. So we're going to go into stimulus. We're going to hit center. And we want our center frequency because long fast frequency for Meshtastic is 906.875. So we're going to do 906.875 M for megahertz. And so on the bottom left, we can see the center is 906.875. At the top right up here, we can also see that our marker is now at 906.875 as well. We have a 100 megahertz span, so this will give us an idea, especially if these antennas are way high or way low, should give us a little bit of an idea of where they are. And we're also going to go down to display now, format, and then we're going to choose SWR because we're looking for the lowest SWR of the antennas. So right now we have like a 500 to 1 SWR because there's no antenna on here. So let's start with these stubby antennas that everybody says are so bad. Let's find out how bad they are and if there's a place where they are good. I'm going to put the antenna on the meter. And if ever you're testing this, you just want to make sure your hand's not up here. You're not helping it with a ground plane or anything. You really want to try to hold it down here and hold it as steady as possible. And you really want to hold it as vertical as possible. For the purposes of the video, obviously, I'm going to tilt it so you can see it. So when we look here, we have about a 3.3 to 1 SWR in this antenna. That's really bad. So at 3.0, 25% of your signal is going back into your radio and being reflected back into the electronics of the radio. Most electronic equipment will, in their manuals and everything, will tell you it's actually just jumped up to 4. So I don't know if it's loose or 3.8 or what. But most equipment manuals and most documentation, the equipment is not even designed to work over a 3 to 1 SWR. So yeah, we're at 3.4. So it looks like if we move our marker down, it does get down to 2.99 all the way down at 862 megahertz. This might be an okay antenna for the European bands. What I will do now is I'm going to actually take the span. We only have a 100 megahertz span going on here. So I'm going to take the span, widen it a lot so we can see, is there an area at all where this antenna is any good? So I'm going to go back to stimulus. We're going to take span. And instead of 100 megahertz, I'm going to give it like 5 gigahertz. Let's just go crazy. All right. So now we can use our up and down for our markers and sweep through all these bands. And there are some spots that are a little low here. So it looks like 2 gigahertz. It's 2.5. So there's the bottom there. If we go to the bottom of this one, that's 2.5 gigahertz. It's 1.5 to 1 SWR at 2.5 gigahertz. And then we go to this other loop here, or this other dip here. Let me find it. Yeah. And so the best SWR on this whole antenna, like a 1.29, is at 3.8 gigahertz. So I don't know what consumer products or anything use 3.8 gigahertz. It looks like it might be an okay antenna for like a Bluetooth antenna or a Wi-Fi antenna, because it did have a somewhat reasonable SWR around 2.4. I say that, but even at 2.4 has a high SWR. So a lot of people say throw these antennas in the trash, and I agree with them. I don't even know why I'm saving them. So these are junk. All right, let's move on to the next antenna. I've been curious about these. Yeah, again, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Muzzy work antennas. I pronounce it both ways, and everybody says I'm wrong. So I'm going to take our span, and let's take our span, set it back to 100 megahertz. And then we're going to take our center frequency and put it back on 906.875 megahertz. Wow, look at that. Not bad. So we're looking at this yellow line down here. Should have mentioned that on the earlier one, but these colors up here correspond down here. And the ideal antenna, you want 50 ohms and as low SWR as possible. Today we're just going to look at SWR. Ohms can be off a tiny bit. So when we look at our center frequency, 906.875, so that's 906.875 right there. That's a 1.23 to 1 SWR. So if you look on the top, 1.22, 1.23, it's a very good SWR. We can see that we're toward the bottom of the dip in the antenna, which is good. So these are really good antennas. The only thing I would caution is, this is a convenience, obviously, but the antennas are flexible. If it's in your pocket, and I'm going to grab like a pencil or something non-conductive here, and I'm going to just bend that antenna over 45 degrees, the tip of the antenna. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm just going to bend that over a little bit, and it doesn't seem to affect it a ton, which is great. I mean, that's not bad at all. You can see it moves around. It does go up a little, but it's not bad. So yeah, I like that. Good antenna. I've used a lot of these, and I'm happy with them. If I have multiple antennas, I do usually like to check two just to make sure there's some consistency. So we will pop another one of the same antenna on really quick. Take a look at it. So I have seen antennas that are the same brand and have not been consistent. So yep, 1.25, that's close enough. Again, if it's 0.034 away, that's perfectly fair. This is not a, high quality instrument. We are not in a controlled environment, so we're going to give them some leeway. Still very good antennas, it appears. So let's move on now. This is the one that looked just like the Muzzy work antenna, but is not branded. So I'm curious to see if it's going to perform as well and what it's going to look like. Okay, so if we look at it, a little worse, right? We're at the 1.37, 1.4. Let me just tighten it up here good, make sure. Yeah. So it's off a little bit. It looks like it would be better higher up in the band. So if you're running medium fast or something like that on a higher up frequency, it looks like it would perform real well. And in fact, it looks like it gets perfectly flat up here. Let's see. That's going to be around, yeah, at 923, so toward the top of the band, it is a flat 1.0 SWR. So that is perfect. And again, back over at 906.875, it is 1.39. So not bad. Perfectly usable antenna, just doesn't measure out quite as well as the Muzzy Works antennas. All right, so let's go with this 4 pack. So these all 4 came in the same pack. There was a 6 pack. I'm using 2 right now. And I just want to see, like, is the white antenna different than the black antennas? Do they all measure out the same? Are these any good at all? Um, so let's grab one here. Come on, thread on there. There we go. All right, so this one is really good as well. I mean, 1.07. I mean, that's outstanding. You can't ask for much better than that. And it looks like the antenna itself is kind of tuned a little lower in the band, so it works good on long fast. Remember, the ISM band is 902 to 928 megahertz, and so the long fast frequency of 906.875 for Meshtastic is relatively lower in the band. So antennas that are cut for the lower part of the band, or just happen to be a little bit off in favor of the lower part of the band, are going to perform really well. So yeah, 1.1, 1.11, excellent antenna. Excellent antenna. So let's grab another one that's out of the same pack here. Let's see if we get that 1.11 again. See how consistent it is. Oh, so this is interesting. Very interesting. If you see that, it is the bottom part is now much higher in the band, and then our antenna here is a 1.45. Still a perfectly usable antenna, just not quite as optimized for the frequency that we want. So I do find it interesting that these literally came out of the same pack, though. Let's go with the wide antenna now. Yeah, that's pretty bad there. Very inconsistent. So yeah, we're looking at a pretty much a 2-to-1. So we'll just call that 2-to-1. It's going to bounce around a little bit because I'm moving this and whatnot. But a 2-to-1 SWR. I mean, yeah, it's probably not going to burn up your equipment, but you're losing, a pretty measurable amount of efficiency with 2-to-1. And when I talk about efficiency, it's not just loss on transmit; it's loss on receive too. The antenna is now reflecting the received wave off of the antenna instead of absorbing it. So um, that goes both ways. You really want an antenna with low SWR. I'm not going to test the last one out of the pack because we already know they're inconsistent. All right, let's get the big tactical antenna, what they call the tactical antenna from. Again, this was, I don't know what the branding is on this. I bought it from Rockland. I just thought it was cool. And looks very durable. Right, that's on there nice and tight. Let's get our hand away from it. Let's take a look here. Not the best, but not bad. 1.39, we'll call it 1.4. Yeah, it's going up to 1.4. So on long fast, again, we're highlighted on 906.875. We can see again, this one kind of favors the top of the band a little bit, but still a perfectly usable antenna. I'm curious if I curve it some, does that change it a lot? Does that, yeah, 1.5. That's not bad. Not a bad antenna. If you don't mind how beefy the thing is. All right, here we go with the LilyGo 915 antenna. That's what this one's marked, and this did come on I think this came on a T-beam that I bought quite a while back. So let's take a look at that antenna. Holy smokes, that is bad. Yeah, And it's not bad to the point where it's shorted or it's open, because this number here would be either 0 or infinite. So this is our uh, resistance. So it's off though. I mean, it just is way off on SWR. It's not something I would really want to run on a radio. So yeah, that's surprising. So I would say it's just as bad, if not worse, than those stubby antennas. All right. So this next antenna, this looks exactly like the antennas that came in the 4 or 5 6 pack or whatever I showed you earlier. This did not come out of that pack, I know, and the only difference is if you look really closely, and I'll line them up here. Let me grab another one from that pack. If you line them up here, you may not be able to see in the light, but the top one has a little bit thicker cable running through it than the bottom one. That's the only difference. So just curious to see if this is any better quality than those. And I think this was an Amazon special, you know. So let's take a look at that. All right, 1.52, 1.55. Again, kind of, not a super antenna, but not a bad one either. And really kind of on par with where some of those other ones were from that pack. So not bad. All right, the next antenna is a similar build to that one, but this is actually the Rack Wireless branded antenna. So you can see the Rack logo on there, and then it is labeled. Let's see if we can get it to zoom in for the light to cooperate. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it says 902 to 928 megahertz. So that is the band, the whole band there. This one does have a different polarity, so I'm gonna have to run an adapter. So we're gonna put a little. This is what's called a reverse polarity SMA. So the middle pin is reversed from a standard SMA connector. And a lot of Wi-Fi type devices and consumer devices will use this, whereas most of the LoRa devices, because they do come from more of a industrial background, use a standard SMA. All right, so with our adapter on, 1.74, not bad, not bad at all. Again, kind of like the others, not the best, but not bad. I would run it. Um, Again, this one favors toward the top of the band. But that's okay. Let's keep moving on here. Got a couple more left. Let's see. This one needs the adapter still, so I'll do it next. And this is just a mystery antenna. I found this in the box. I think it's a 900 megahertz antenna. Oh, it is way off. Yeah, let's go back to where we expand our span out. So let's take our span. Let's do like oh, let's do like 500 megahertz out. Okay. All right, so that's interesting. So if I go up here, this is a 1026 megahertz. I don't know if this is supposed to be an antenna for like maybe ADSB or something like that. I don't think it swoops back down at the bottom. Let me expand this out just a little bit more. Let's just do a 1 gigahertz span now. Oh, see, it starts to drop back down up here. Around 406, it starts to drop down a little bit. So maybe this is supposed to be a UHF antenna, but this is certainly not a, as I get into 900 megahertz at a 5 to 1, I mean, you're losing, I think that's half of your signal. So this is why it's nice to have these VNAs, especially if you have a bunch of antennas like this laying around and you don't know what they are or what they're for. I'm actually going to set this one on the other side so I don't mix it up. All right, and this last one doesn't need an adapter. Good gravy. Put that on there. It must have been stronger 10 minutes ago when I put it on. Here we go. All right, so last antenna, let's see what we have here. I kept the span really wide. And so at 906,875, it is almost a 6 to 1, so really bad. Yeah, it's bad on 800. I think where it's getting low. Yeah, if we look at the very bottom at like 406, it's 1.84. So I think this was intended to be a UHF antenna, probably a UHF amateur radio antenna. At the bottom of 400 megahertz there. There are some devices like wireless pagers and stuff that run down there. Could be intended for that as well. So again, that's just why it's nice to have these. I had no clue what frequency this is. I may get out later the label maker or something, start putting labels on these. I do hope everyone enjoyed the video. If you do want another video where I dive into a little more about what SWR is, what different antenna types, leave a comment down in the comment section below and I'll do a little bit more of a deep dive video. For now, this is K7BEN signing off.